Hi. Thanks everybody for joining us. Good afternoon. And thank you for attending our accreditation preparation webinar. My name is Megan Matovich and I'll be your moderator today. Some of you may have attended webinars before and some of you may not have. So before we get started and I turn things over to Jim, who will be giving our presentation today, I'd just like to go over a few things. So first, let's talk briefly about how we're going to interact today. Everyone should have a GoToWebinar control panel showing at the top right of their screen. And you may notice that throughout the presentation that this control panel collapses off to the side. To open it back up, simply click on the arrow in the orange at the top here, and that should expand and collapse your control panel for you. If you are logged in to the webinar using your mic and speakers and you find that you're having difficulty hearing us, we suggest dialing in with your phone. The instructions for that were provided in the webinar invitation email as well as the reminder email you should have gotten about the webinar today. If you have any other technical issues, you can let us know by typing in a question on your control panel. We anticipate today's webinar to be about 45 minutes with 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So to ensure that we have enough time to go over everything, we'll be saving all of our questions until the end. You can, however, ask a question at any time throughout the presentation by typing a question in the questions log box here. We will try to answer everyone's questions, but if we run out of time or you need additional clarification, we'll have contact information at the end of the presentation so you can contact us directly. You'll also notice that we've provided a Twitter hashtag for everyone who'd like to tweet about today's presentation. Just be sure to include the hashtag ABC Accreditation Prep with your tweet. Also today, we'll be conducting a few polls. And once you see a poll pop up on your screen, just go ahead and click your answer. No one will be able to see your response, but it will provide us with some helpful info during the session, so be sure to do that. Also, after the webinar, we will be sending everyone a follow-up email with links to a survey about today's presentation. We ask that everyone take a few moments to provide us with some feedback, especially input on what other topics you'd like to see for future webinars. The email will also include a link for a quiz for those of you that are interested in receiving the 1.5 Continuing Education Business Credits for today's presentation. And today's webinar is being recorded, so you will also receive a link in the follow-up email about how to access that recording in case you'd like to view the presentation again later or you'd like to share it with someone else on your staff. Okay, now I'd like to go ahead and introduce our presenter for today, Jim Lawson. Some of you may have seen Jim out on the road. He attends almost all of the state and national OMP meetings, speaking about accreditation and getting to meet lots of OMP professionals and business owners just like you. We like to call him our accreditation guru because he gets to hear firsthand from facility owners, practitioners, surveyors, and other speakers about what's currently happening in the profession, what's happening with CMS, what concerns people have, and then he shares all of that great info with us back at the office so that we can make sure we're providing our facilities and applicants with as much information and tools as possible. So without further ado, I'll turn it over now to Jim.
Well, thank you, Megan. I appreciate that very much. And I personally would like to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us here today. I'm going to flip right over here and we're going to pull this right up and get started. Let's see here. And we're going to go, there we go. Let's see here. I have a little issue with the screen. We'll get it there. There we go. I think we're okay. Am I right, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
I want to see your screen now.
Very good. Sorry for that little hiccup there, but thank you, everyone. Really, thank you very much. What I'm going to be doing today in starting off is I'd like to share a little bit of the outline of what we're learning and reviewing today as we walk through the webinar. One of the most crucial points that I can share importance-wise is properly preparing for your accreditation survey. Now, as Megan said, I speak with practices and practitioners all over the country, and that's one of the most often questions I get asked. How should we get ready? How should we prepare for the survey itself? So with that in mind, we're going to be reviewing how your facility needs to prepare prior to applying for your accreditation survey, whether it's your first time or for renewal, how and what your facility needs to be prepared for during the survey itself, and then we'll take a walkthrough of what will occur on the day of your survey and what will be expected of you and your team. And we'll then discuss what's next, what happens once your surveyor has left your practice, and what you should expect. We're also going to talk a little bit about the secrets of success. Those are the tips and hints and suggestions from our surveyors and from our staff as well, and a lot of the examples that I've heard from a lot of the facilities about what works for them and how you can utilize those ideas for your own business. Most importantly, though, we're going to review the extensive tools and resources ABC has put together to help make the processes just as easy as possible and easy as we can make that for you. So, why accreditation? This is probably a good opportunity for us to go ahead and add one of the polls in. Megan, would you like to do a poll here?
Yes, let's do that.
Great.
Just one moment, bear with us. Okay, everybody should see a poll on their screen now. And we still got people voting. We'll just give everybody a few more minutes here.
I know it's a tough decision. There's three choices. And it looks like pretty much everyone who's going to vote has voted on this very close here. As I see the results, I see the majority of the answers, it allows my business to provide better service. About a third of you, close to a third, says ABC and Medicare has told me to do this and makes me do it. They force us, they twist our arm. And just a very few percent says it helps me run my business smoother. So we can flip back to me go ahead running this, Megan, if that's all right. And there we go. There we go. So I would say that's very interesting. It's very interesting. I love the responses. It allows me to run my business, provide better patient care. All of those answers are correct. They really are correct. It all depends on the situation for yourself. I was in an accreditation survey down in Florida about a year or so ago, and I spent the day at the practice, the entire day at the practice. When we completed the survey, the business owner said that he learned more about properly running his business during that survey and that day we spent there than he did the previously 2 years when he was open. So why do we need a facility accreditation? What does it mean? How does it enhance our profession? What are the benefits of being accredited? Being accredited by the AC encourages you and your fellow staff members to use our profession's best business practices. Make sure I have this here. And I think I have control of this, Megan, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't seem to be, but that's okay. We'll move forward this. Let's see here. I apologize, everyone. There we go. The best business practices that we were talking about. Those best business practices can also help you save time and money within. Ultimately, I love the answers. Like I said, the majority of you put improve the health care you can provide to your patients. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to discuss some of the ways we can achieve those goals. Now, you were right. Some of you were absolutely right. Accreditation by ABC is required by some payers, by some insurance companies. CMS and Medicare, if you bill them, requires facility accreditation for some O&P services offered, as well as for mastectomy and pedorthic services. So by following and adhering to the ABC facility accreditation standards, you can have a good base as a defense for audits performed by outside organizations. And I don't think we know who we're talking about. The contractors who are performing the audits. Being compliant with the standards is a great defense for those audits themselves. So let's get PrePare itself. ABC strives to make our facility accreditation process effective and uncomplicated as possible for you. I know when I say uncomplicated, you may scoff at that, but it really is true. There's many ways we're really going to help you make it as uncomplicated as possible. Now, there's a couple of ways you can prepare for your survey. One, prepare on your own with no guidance and have an exhausting, overwhelming experience. Or two, be able to take advantage of the ABC staff and the tools that we've created and that were available at any time for you to help you through your process. Please do not struggle with this alone. We're here to help you. We've developed many tools that will help you prepare for the survey even before you submit your application for the first time or renewal. So what I'd like to do is take a look at some of these tools. This is great. This is the Accreditation Guidebook. If you choose any of the tools, let's say you only use one tool that we offer, this is the one that you need to use. If you haven't received this yet, let's talk about this. It is basically your owner's manual for accreditation. It includes information about getting started. All of the ABC standards are in this, along with the top hints and tips on how to comply with the lists of additional resources. We have tools ABC is available. Now, just a couple of years ago, we combined all of our resources and tools to create these one comprehensive guide for the facilities. Now, some of the standards have been rewritten to make them a little easier to understand. They have not been changed. I want to make that clear. The standards have not been changed, but they have been rewritten, kind of taking a little bit of the legalese out of it. So we've worked extensively with the surveyors and the staff to come up with this advice and the suggestions for compliance. So, as I mentioned, if you don't have this guidebook, please let us know. You can go online, go on our website. Please don't do it now, but you can go on our website and download it. Or let me know, and I'm very happy to send a hard copy out to you, to yourself or whoever takes care of your compliance. Okay? This is another tool. This is a relevant standards guide. It's a relevant standards tool. This tool is not in the guidebook. This is not with our compliance kit. It is not in the guidebook for one simple reason. It's an electronic tool. It's on our website. So it's available to you on our website. What we have listed here is we have all the categories, all the services that you can provide for O&P. What you do here, let me show you with a mouse here. Scroll down, click all the ones that you provide, scroll, the list is a lot longer. You scroll all the way down, you hit generate, and what that does is it pulls up a list of the standards that specifically apply to your practice. There are 142 standards, facility accreditation standards that ABC has, 142. Chances are not all of these standards apply to your practice. So please don't waste time. Don't waste time looking at standards and studying standards that don't apply to your practice. Just use this and use the ones that specifically apply to your practice itself. Now, moving back into the guidebook, here. Like I mentioned, I said there's 142 standards. Every one of the standards are in this guidebook. As you can see, for example, PC 1.2, the standard is written in bold, and then we have a tip or a helpful hint below that. Okay? What we want to make sure is we want to make sure that you are completely prepared and understand the standards prior to the surveyor showing up to your practice. Some of the surveyors show up and they'll tell a practitioner that you're non-compliant in this standard, and sometimes the response is, well, I didn't even understand what that standard meant. That's okay. We get it. That makes sense. I understand that. But please do your best to understand it prior to that surveyor walking in your door. Once again, we are here to answer all those questions. We have a whole accreditation team just prepared to answer the questions themselves. This is also another tool that's in the compliance guide. This is your patient care accreditation PreApplication Checklist. This is a great tool. It doesn't matter if you're going for first-time accreditation or renewal. It doesn't matter if this is the fourth time you're going for renewal. This is a great tool to go through your practice. Spend a little time. As you can see, we see the key areas of compliance here. What we do is we break it down to the different areas that the surveyors are going to be checking and looking for during the survey. Make sure you're compliant with all of those standards before sending in your application. This is another tool we have online. It's on our website. As Megan mentioned, I go out and I speak all over the country, and I have the pleasure, the true honor of meeting with all of you. And I get to go into your practices at different times. I get to talk with you, and I get to hear a lot of information. I speak to our surveyors a lot. And our surveyors, I ask them frequently, what are some of the major issues that you are finding when you do your surveys in the practices? Are there any trends happening? And so what they do is they share those with me, and we had put together this top 10 list of issues that we find, some of the hiccups that we find in the surveys themselves. And just picking any one of these right out, for example, I think number 7 there is the patient chart documentation. So what we're looking for, and that's a big one, because that goes into documentation and that hits with the RAC audits, okay? So that's a big one, because we're looking for the patient charts, incomplete patient charts, practitioner's evaluation, your diagnosis, your patient history, your assessment, your goals, or making sure all those in the patient's chart, pre-treatment photos if you've taken them, referrals and prescriptions for the services, formulation of a treatment plan, implementation of that treatment plan, detailed medical necessity, that's extremely important, and delivery and proof and instructions, delivery of proof. I truly believe every practice, you guys are doing this. You are doing this. All of those, that list that I just went through, I know you're doing those, but are they documented? That's the question. And we've all heard over the last 3 or 4 years, if you haven't documented it, you didn't do it. So that's the kind of information that they're looking for. Just out of curiosity, let me throw this out, proof of delivery. There was an article about a year ago that stated for our profession that proof of delivery, lack of proof of delivery, was responsible for approximately about 28% of RAC audits being lost, of not being able to win over a RAC audit. 28%. And I'm not sure if you're all aware, but 6 or 7 months ago, CMS has put out, if you bill CMS, has put out that on that proof of delivery, obviously you need the item, you need the date, you need the signature by the patient or the caregiver, but you also need the components of the device listed. If there's a serial number on any of those components, they need to be down there. And CMS is going to be becoming a real stickler about that. So be on the lookout. So for preparation itself, okay, if you are renewing your accreditation, we're going to reach out to you about 8 months prior to your expiration date. We're going to reach out to you, send you reminders by snail mail and by email, because we want to make sure that you apply early. We're going to request that you apply, send in your renewal application for accreditation 6 months in advance of your expiration date. The last thing we want to happen is your expiration date to hit without being newly accredited or renewed. Okay, there are different issues that can pop up. We could set up a survey, and maybe you have an issue at the practice and you end up not being open that day, or someone is away, and then we have to reschedule that survey. There could be an issue with the corrective action plan, and I'll talk about those later, that may add time onto this. So we do not want your expiration to occur. Okay, so first-time applicants, really important. Please do not apply for accreditation. Don't send in that application until you know you are prepared for a surveyor to show up. Surveyors generally will take a little time to get there, but a surveyor could come the next day. It really could work out that way. I'm just giving an example. We try to get our first-time applicants in within 90 days. We nail that all the time. But, for example, if we get your paperwork and we put it through here at ABC, and a couple days later everything is finalized, and we have a surveyor who's maybe 10 miles away from your practice who has a day off tomorrow, that surveyor could show up. So we really can't emphasize enough, really want you to be totally prepared prior to sending in that application itself. So all the details here. I'm going to ask you, when you send that application in, you may want a second set of eyes to review it within your practice. Review the application. Make sure it exactly represents your practice. For example, if you have your hours down that you open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're actually, for the summer, you're opening at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, if a surveyor shows up at 8 o'clock and they wait around for half an hour and you're not there, that's an issue. Okay, we're going to have it's going to add a speed bump into the middle of the survey process. Your scope of services. We find issues sometimes where we have a we have a practice where there was a staff member of the practice who no longer is there, and they provided this service, but maybe no one's certified to provide that now, and that still is listed on your application. Well, if you put it on your application, our surveyor is going to look for documentation that you provide that service. Okay, if they don't find any documentation, they're kind of stuck because you applied for that. So please go ahead and make sure you really review that. This is also a great opportunity to share any information that you would like ABC to know, you would like the surveyor to know, you would like anything for us to know. Please, this is a perfect opportunity to share that with you. And I'll give you an example of that a little bit later on today. So survey readiness. I want you to make sure you review the standards that apply to your practice. Use that relevant standards guide. Do us a favor. Inform your staff. Some of you have fantastic gatekeepers as receptionists. You guys, you have some wonderful people, and there's no way they're letting us in the door. Well, we're supposed to come in the door. So if you could please inform your staff, let them know what's going on. Okay, it's going to be a comfortable day when we're there. We want to remove as much anxiety as possible. Okay, our surveyor would like to work with you throughout that day. This is also a great opportunity to review Success Can Be Yours, and that's another tool that we have on our website, and I'm going to show you a little later on where you can find all of those. If you bill CMS and you're accredited with ABC, we have a standard, and we both have the same standard. The standard is you must have a primary contact and a backup contact. And let me give you a little example of why. I was on a survey a little bit over about 2 years ago, and I was with our surveyor. We walked into a organization, and we knew there was just one practitioner in the practice itself. So we walked in, and there was a gentleman behind the counter. He was wearing shorts and tennis shoes and a T-shirt and a baseball hat. And we said good morning. We told him who we were, and he said good morning. May I make a phone call? We said, of course you can make a phone call. Go right ahead. And he called the practitioner who was in the hospital who had torn his meniscus the night before. So, practitioner thought smartly about it. He had his backup. He called a gentleman who was a friend of his and said, would you please come in and open the practice? We have an ABC survey coming up, but I know it's not going to happen today. And of course, Murphy's Law, who walks in the door. But it worked out perfectly because over the phone he was able to show us exactly where we can start looking. So we got about 2.5 or 3 hours worth of the survey done without the practitioner even making it in. He ended up showing up on crutches a little later and didn't have to have surgery, fortunately, until about a week later. But the survey went just smoothly, and it was wonderful that way. Something that a lot of people aren't familiar with is ABC offers blackout dates for your survey. I'll give you reasoning for that. You work hard. Without a doubt, I know all of you. You work hard. You deserve vacations. There are things that come up such as graduations and weddings. A lot of that things are going on during the summer itself. We will give you blackout dates, but we request for you to give us at least 30 days advance notice. Our surveyors are traveling all over the country, and they have flights and everything that are already scheduled. So please give us 30 days advance notice, and we will give you blackout dates. If you have those dates available to you, the knowledge of them, when you're sending in your application, that is the perfect time to share it with us. Remember, I told you, make sure you review the application before you send it in, and any information you want to share with us, there's a prime example of some information to share with us. So let us know. We're going to say, please don't put 3 or 4 months as blackout dates. It's not going to work. But give us a couple of blackout dates. If you have those, please let us know, and we will work to make sure a surveyor does not show up at your practice during those dates itself. I want to take a few moments and just talk about our surveyors itself. We have 30 surveyors, approximately surveyors nationwide. They travel the country. They have years of O&P practitioner experience. Majority of them have owned their practices and have either sold them or have retired, but they have extensive years of O&P practitioner experience. They have a lot of training surveying. ABC has them all come to our offices in Alexandria at least once a year for 3-day seminars where we go over every single standard with a fine-tooth comb. They know these standards back and forth, and they know what to look for, and they also know how to help. They also, one thing that we're extremely proud of that we feel differentiates ABC from other organizations that offer accreditation surveying, accreditation itself, is our consultative approach. if you have an audit from a federal agency walks in, they're going to say, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see this, thank you very much, and they'll walk out. They won't ask for anything else. They won't ask for reasons why something's not there. We will. We're going to work with you. We're there to work with you. We want to see you pass this survey with flying colors. We wouldn't be prouder. We're so happy that when that occurs. And so we want to work with you, and if we can rectify things while we're there at your practice, we will do that. I just want to take a second here along these lines and give you kind of an update. About a year ago, we made a change with our surveyors. Prior to that, our surveyors were consultants with ABCs. They were contractors with ABC. And about a year ago, we brought them all under the ABC umbrella. Major move for a couple of different reasons. One, the training. One, the education and the training. We want to make sure that they have the top-notch education and training, so we're doing that in-house with them. And two, one of the important things is consistency. We feel it's extremely important to have consistency. If you have a surveyor who came to your practice 3 years ago, and they looked at a patient chart and said, I would like to see this way because this is the way it needs to be, and you made changes to do that. And then you have a different surveyor come this year and go through it and say, no, I'd like to see it this way. Well, that is not fair to you. That really isn't fair to you. And so we want to make sure that we are extremely consistent with our surveyors and their approach. So the survey day itself, okay, you wake up, you go to work, all of a sudden you get a knock at ABC, knock on the door, and ABC, we walk in with a big smile on our face. We're going to have introductions. We'd like to do is we'd like to meet all of your staff. We'd like to ask them what their positions are and what their responsibilities are in the practice itself. We're going to take a little facility tour. We'll be checking safety as we go through this. I was on a survey once, and I went to facility tour and walked to the back exit, emergency exit, and I went to push it open, just make sure it worked, and it opened about 6 inches and stopped. Well, of course, the practitioner business owner's face turned white, and so he and I walked outside behind the practice, and early that morning the trash company had picked up the trash and dropped the dumpster down, and it rolled just a little bit in front of the door. So he and I rolled up our sleeves and we pushed the dumpster out of the way. Boom, you're compliant. Just that simple. We're going to need a workspace. If you have an extra exam room, if you have an extra place in your reception area, maybe an office that is not being used, we'll need a workspace. If you use electronic health records, then we will need a monitor. Our surveyors are very well versed in all of the software, whether it's OPI or Futura or any of them out there. And even if you've created software and developed it for your own practice itself, they should have no issue whatsoever with that. There was one survey I went on with one of our surveyors, and she and I were in a closet about 5 feet by 6 feet, and we turned 2 5-gallon paint buckets upside down, and those were our stools. So we'll just need a little bit of space. We will ask for the personnel files for all of your staff. We'll be reviewing those. Patient charts, we will request a minimum of 10 patient charts per practitioner. If you have 3 practitioners, we'll want 10 from each of them, minimally. We may request more as we go through the survey, and there's a possibility we'll look through 5, 6, 7 of them and say these are fine and pass them back in to you. We would like to see those within the last 6 months of patient service. Depending on your patient load, if you're a little slower, then we will extend that to the last 12 months. But so we'll ask for, if we request more patient charts, please don't feel things are going wrong. We don't want you to have anxiety about that. Please don't worry about that. We just need to make sure we're looking for consistency. That's all. This is something new. If you're going for renewal, you probably didn't have this last time. We are a CMS deemed authority. That's why we're able to do these accreditation surveys and perform those. CMS has asked us now, our surveyors, to call 5 of your patients at random. What we will do is we'll request 5 different patient contact information, and basically it's going to be very simple. They're going to call the patient and ask them a few very simple questions. We'll explain who we are and where we are at your practice. We're going to ask them if they're a patient of yours, and then we're going to ask them if they have such and such device, because we'll know, and then we'll say, how is that working? Are there any issues? Would you like to make a return follow-up appointment? This can also work as a marketing tool for you. We will also take all the information down and share it with your staff that if they would like to come back in and see you for another appointment, which would be great, then we'll share that information with you. If you have someone who can sit with us when we make those phone calls, that's perfectly fine also, and you can take the information as we go. So if we make 5 calls and only reach 2 people and get 3 voicemails, that's all we're going to do. We're just going to do the 5 calls that is requested by CMS. So some of the material they're going to be reviewing itself is they're going to look through your policy procedure manual. It doesn't matter what you call it, whether you call it that or you call it an employee handbook, that's perfectly fine. They're going to look through that. This is your living and breathing document. This is where all of the changes in your practice take place, all of your procedures in your practice take place. It needs to be available to all staff members, whether you have an electronic copy of it online or on your online for your staff, or you have a hard manual copy. It just needs to be available for everyone. They will be reviewing that itself. They're going to look at your fire and emergency drills. They want to see your folder with ABC. It's minimally needs to occur once a year. And we'll talk about that. It's important. I have a question for you. If you have only one practitioner, only one staff member, do you still need to have a fire drill? I see all of you nodding your head. That is great. That's wonderful. Yes, you do. And I'll give you a little story here. There was one practitioner, a one-man shop, had a patient come in. It was a lady, and she had 4 small children with her. Well, he was taking care of the patient itself, and all of a sudden the fire alarm went off. So the practitioner took the patient and the 3 children. They went out in the parking lot and stood out there, and everything was safe. But it was the 4th child who started the fire in the closet. So we need a procedure. We need to practice that procedure, and we're going to look for documentation of that itself. We're looking for your patient charts. We're looking for your patient chart audits. That needs to be done, and we're going to make sure that you have a process to audit your patient charts internally itself. We're looking for your patient satisfaction report and action plan, and that needs to be done minimally once a year. Patient satisfaction surveys are handed out to every patient, no matter how you do it. It's make sure that it's available to every single patient, not randomly. I talked to some practices and they said we give it every 5th person, but that's not the standard. The standard is to make sure it's available to everyone itself. And then we need a report, at least an annual report, to see of the responses you have, and then we need an action plan. If you're taking any actions from the feedback that you receive from your patients, that needs to be in an action plan. So we'll be checking that. Both of those need to happen at least once a year. We want to see you have a process for correcting billing issues. If you don't, that can be a red flag. Let's say you submit claims to a payer and they are rejected, and do you have a process to correct those claims and resubmit? If you don't, that's a red flag, and I know no one's doing it out there, but they're going to look for that. They're going to look for that itself. After the day is done, or after the survey is done, we're going to offer an exit interview. This is an opportunity which I strongly encourage every practice to take advantage of. If the business owner is there or the practitioner is there who can sit for the exit interview, please do so. If they're not able to do that, we have a staff member who can sit for that and take notes, then that's second best. We will also offer, our surveyor will also offer, if you're busy, to give an exit interview over the phone the next day or maybe 2 days later to go over some of the issues there. Number 1, your patients come first. Okay? Please take care of your patients come first. They take priority. If you have a patient and we're ready for the exit interview, please take care of your patient. We will take care of the exit interview at a later time itself. But this is what we're going to review. We're going to review the general findings of as we walk through we're going to kind of give you an update of what we found in your practice itself. We're going to review your partial and non-compliant issues. Okay, it's a great opportunity for you to take a look at those of what we found and maybe what we didn't find in the survey itself. This is a great opportunity for you to share information with the surveyor. I was on a survey once and we were doing the exit interview, and we said that we told the practitioner they were non-compliant for this standard, and the practitioner said, "Can you just wait 2 minutes?" We said, "Of course." So she went away and came back with a folder. And she said, "Is this what you're looking for?" We said, "That's exactly what we're looking for." She said, "Great, I will keep it now where it's supposed to be kept as the standard tells me." And at that point, she was compliant. So we just erased the non-compliant, and now she was compliant. Great opportunity to share information itself. And this is the opportunity also where a surveyor will make suggestions. Remember I mentioned that they travel all over the country. Our surveyors see hundreds of do surveys, hundreds of them across the country for practices and facilities all over the nation. They see practices that are running like a well-oiled machine, that are just doing fantastic. They see practices that are just getting by. And what they do is they pick up and they get suggestions. They see things that are working well. For example, they may make a suggestion. They may say, I see that you're doing this effort and it's taking you approximately 6 man-hours a week to do. I've seen other practices somewhere else do it this way, and they get it down to 2 man-hours. Well, you're saving 4 hours of compensation for employees with that, paying. You're also saving 4 hours of time where maybe you can get home and have dinner with your family a little earlier. So they make suggestions. Ultimately, their number one job is to make sure you're compliant with all of the standards that apply to your practice, but they are there with those suggestions to work with you as a consultative approach itself. All right, so now what? All right, now what? Here we are. Number one, we're going to take the review. The survey is going to review and complete your survey and send it to the ABC offices. This is after the surveyor has left your practice itself. 2, ABC Accreditation's team is going to review it, all the information, they're going to validate it, and they're going to finalize your survey results. And 3, we're going to mail to your primary contact, we're going to mail the survey report, your decision letter, and your summary of findings. And as you can see down there, that's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks because we have to make sure and legitimize every single thing and validate every single thing. We don't want to mark you off something that does not apply to your practice. We double and triple check everything. So we're going to send you that survey report. So what's in the survey report? Okay, the survey report, we're going to have a listing of all of the standards that apply to your practice. You're going to get a list of all the standards that you're compliant in, which will be very extensive. That'll be the longest list. We're going to list the partial and the non-compliant issues. And then it's going to have information from our surveyors telling you some hints and such, what they noticed, what they saw, and how to correct that. Okay, it's going to be in there. If there are non-compliant standards and partially compliant standards, as you see on the bottom page here, you will receive a CAP, and a CAP is a corrective action plan. It can be just to the point of what we are asking to see is what changes you are making within that standard to make sure you're compliant. So what was partially compliant, let's fix it to make sure it's fully compliant. What was non-compliant, we'll do the same thing. And ABC would like to see how you are now compliant with that standard. And you have 45 days to complete that and return that to ABC. If you receive a CAP, that does not mean you have not passed your survey. It does not mean that you haven't received your survey. You haven't passed it. So please don't worry about that, okay? Many practices, no matter how good they are and how well they're run, receive a corrective action plan. So congratulations. You've received your decision letter, you've received everything, and here comes your package in the mail. What you can receive is this is a certificate. Where do we put the certificate? Everyone, all at once, yell it. Oh, that was so loud. Of course, you put it on the wall. And where on the wall? Does it go between exam room number 2 and number 3? No, not necessarily, because not everyone goes to exam room number 3. We want to make sure it's in a place where everyone can see it. I obviously suggest putting it in your lobby where your other certificates are. So you'll also receive the ABC logo sticker for your practice. You will also receive an electronic version for that you can post it on your website saying we are ABC board certified accredited. You can post it on I see many people with business cards that have it posted on there. We're an accredited facility, ABC accredited facility itself. You'll also receive a press release. This is a press release template. We have written this already. What you can do is you can go and manipulate that and put your information in, put all of your information in. It talks about you passing the ABC accreditation survey, and who would you share it with this with? How about your referral sources? You want to share it with your physicians. You want to share it with your hospitals, with your VA centers. You'll receive a hard copy, and we also have a link on ABC at My ABC, and I'll show you that you have an electronic version. You just go right in and change everything for that. This is also a brochure. Majority of your physicians or patients aren't aware of the extensive work that you have had to do to successfully complete an ABC survey. This brochure we've created goes into and explains in detailed explanation what ABC accreditation means and what the gold standard for our profession means, and you are the gold standard. We have them on our website. We have them for O&P facilities. We also have them for mastectomy facilities and boutiques. You will receive a hard copy of this in your package itself. Please feel free. You can order those online. A lot of practices have, actually, I'm surprised, really a lot of practices have them in their lobby, at least for the first-time patients itself. So this is great. As I mentioned before earlier, we discussed the ABC's new Accreditation Compliance Kit. We took feedback from our facilities and surveyors and put together this resource to help make the accreditation process simple and successful, whether you're pursuing accreditation, once again, the first time or for renewal. Now, this kit includes the Accreditation Guidebook, which I mentioned earlier. We took a look at that. The Compliance Calendar. If you haven't received, this is what the front page of the Compliance Calendar looks like, the title page. If you haven't received one of these and you are ABC accredited, please let me know. We'll send this out to you. This is a great tool. I realize this is half the year is gone already, but this calendar, each page itself focuses on different areas of our standards and different areas, and it gives detailed information and really great hints of how to be compliant with those standards itself. So please go right ahead, and if you don't have this, let me know at the end of the webinar. My email is going to be out. Just send me an email. I'll be happy to mail one right out to you. The kit also includes the calendar and the resources, and hit some of these. On our website, this is the resource pack. We've listened to you. We've heard requests. I'd like to see templates. I'd like to see charts. I'd like to see information pages. So we have created those, and this is on our website. You hit the information right here, and all of those forms will show up for you, and I'm going to go through some of those forms right now, and I'm going to show you where to find this on our website. Remember I talked about the patient chart audit form that you should do. Our surveys will be looking for it, whether you do a patient chart audit once a week, once a month, once a quarter. This is a great tool for you here. I promise you, when you use this, the first time you'll find mistakes. The second time you do your audit, there's going to get less and less mistakes. And the third time, you're just going to do better and better and better. It's going to prepare you, and again, it's a great business practice itself. Privileging itself. Many ABC accredited practices take advantage of privileging, which is basically having an uncredentialed staff member being able to perform tasks or services supervised by an ABC certified staff member. So this form right here gives us detailed information, criteria information itself. And this form is to show exactly, once the employee has, we've gone through 3 different things. The written objective criteria needs to be for the staff member. We need to see the training, and we need to see the justification of why you're having this person privileged. We want documentation of all those. And then once they are privileged, this form right here, this template, will basically keep track of what they have done, and our survey will be looking for that if they are privileged itself. So, patient satisfaction surveys. You know what, Megan, I think this is a great time for a poll. Is that cool?
Yes.
Great. How about a second poll, everyone? We'll do a quick one. Oh, guys, I'm seeing everyone online. I'm seeing the results, and they're mixed, and that is good. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this. That's great, everyone. Why do we need to do patient satisfaction surveys? Because you make us do it, right, Jim? Yes, we do that too, but ultimately, we want to give the best health care possible itself. So ABC, what we've done is we've helped to put these together. I noticed that 64% of you offer it in person, 16% of you offer it by email, and 19% offer it by mail, hard copy by mail. I strongly suggest offering it different ways, and I don't think we had that as an option on the poll itself. If you can offer it in person and by email or by mail, the more opportunities you have to offer it to them, the better your response you're going to get. What we have done is we've created how to write and analyze patient satisfaction surveys here. We've also put this up. We've added into another one of our tools. This is the sample patient satisfaction survey. If you want to use this directly, It gets right to the point. Go right ahead. If you want to use any questions we have on here, feel free to do that as well, and just use whatever you'd like. I will tell you, CMS has not written this down in black and white, but they would like to see 33% of all of your patients return your patient satisfaction survey. That is a big number. That's hard to get. If any of you guys are getting that without using an electronic version, having a consultant doing it for you, then more power to you. That is fantastic. I do have a couple of things I just want to hit real quick. Make sure your survey is relevant. Make sure the question is relevant. Don't put 45 questions on there when 8 questions will do, 10 questions will do. Make sure it's timely. I've talked to practices who send it out at the end of every month. I don't remember what I had for lunch 2 days ago, okay? Send it out, give it to the patient when you see them. And 3, make it personal for them. If you take 20 seconds, 15 seconds, and use your own words, just do something like this. Speak to the patient and say, we want to make sure we value your business, and we want to know how we're doing, and we want to know how we can improve. If you would just take 3 or 4 minutes and fill this out for us, we appreciate that greatly. I want you to go back home, and any family members, I want you to go to church, I want you to go to the office. Anyone who's having an issue, I want you to feel comfortable to send them to us, and we want to take care of them as well as possible. I think if you add something like that into it, I think you're going to start getting a good response. We also have created a guide to patient satisfaction trends. All right, so now that you're getting all this fantastic feedback in, what do you do with it? Right here, this is information. It's fire drill time. I know everyone's doing the fire drills. We have created a template for it. Man, this is so simple and easy, but it's necessary. What was the date, who was there, the start time, the stop time, and the scenario. Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened. If you have, we need to do a fire drill annually, at least once a year. You can do it more often. That's great. Give us a scenario. Do you have patients in your office while you're doing it? If you did, I hope you reminded the patients, let them know you're going to have a fire drill. Don't be mean. Be nice to them. If you have all staff members need to go through a fire drill, so for example, if you have part-time employees who are there only on a Tuesday or Thursday and you had a fire drill on a Monday, we need to have another one for them. And this is a list of annual reviews that we're pulling up. Employee documentation. We have forms for all of these for you to check. Your office and your rooms there. We're going through all of these forms here. This will help you be prepared. If you go through all of these, we've created all of these for this. Your billing and coding at the end. We want to make sure your clinical narrative is matching your billing. If you've submitted those bills and you don't have a process to resubmit if they're rejected, we want to know that. We want to make sure. This will help you through everything there. This right here, this is my ABC. This is where all of the tools reside. This is where everything is. You log in right here. Just put in your password and your username. If you don't know your password and username, just contact us. We'll get you all set there, okay? So every bit of tools, everything we've gone over lives right here. Go to our website. Our website is, and I'm going to show it at the very end, it's abcop.org. Don't go there yet. Megan, I think this is a great time to pull up some of the questions.
Absolutely. Let's see, we got one come in. And Penny asks, if we have a practitioner that is on contract, do we need to include his patients in the audit?
Yes, because as a practitioner on contract in that practice, if the practitioner is on the contract in that practice, then yes, we want to include those patients in the audit because they fall under your accreditation. Okay, that practitioner would fall under your accreditation doing business in your practice itself. So I would err on the side that yes, please include those patients in the patient charts.
And so far we don't have, we've got another one come in. Dan asks, does the patient satisfaction report have to be in a separate file and also copies in the individual clinic file?
What a great question. What my suggestion with that is, so are we talking about the patient satisfaction report, the annual report, or you can do it quarterly or half a year or however often you want to do it. Yeah, you want to keep that in a separate folder, okay? I'm glad Dan brought this point up. I would suggest when you receive the responses first of all, review those right away, okay? Review those. If they're purposely, because if there's anything negative on there, you want to jump on that right away. You want to contact your patient, and you want to make sure that you don't want that to fester. You really don't want to. So I know we all have patients that you're never going to be able to satisfy. There's always one that you're just never going to be able to satisfy, but we need to make that attempt, okay? So what I would do is I strongly suggest keep all of the patient satisfaction surveys that you've received in one file. If you would like to make a copy and put it in that patient's chart, you are certainly able to do that. That is no problem. But when you're going to make your annual report, you're going to have to go through all of those patient charts and find out who sent in a survey, who responded, and pull all those out. And that's going to take a lot of time and effort. So I would keep all the responses in a separate folder or a separate file, and then that you're making that annual report is going to be so much easier at that point. But yes, keep your patient satisfaction report in a separate file, and then there's going to be the action plan. And that action plan is minimally once a year as well. The action plan can be kept with a report as well. The action plan can be something as simple as we're receiving 98% positive feedback, and we're going to continue offering the health care and try to improve as we move along. Or the action plan can be over the last 6 months, we have heard that our patients are waiting too long on the phone, trying to get an appointment, and so we are trying to ramp up an effort of trying to set a procedure that we answer each phone within a certain amount of rings, or we don't keep them on hold for more than 60 seconds. That is your action plan. So that's just an example of some of the things that you can put into an action plan itself.
Okay, we've got another question from Leanne. She says, as part of a large hospital system, what documentation will the surveyor be looking for from the patient financial services department along with the building services department, which would have the fire drill information?
Great question, Leanne. Thank you very much. So you're in a situation where you're not an individual facility itself. So there are many practices that we know that the finances are kept at a headquarters, or they're kept in different offices that are not available to that practice itself. We understand that. Personnel files, things along those lines. When you fill out your application for your accreditation application, that is one of the things that we ask about. And so our surveyor, if on the application saying our finances and our budget and such are not kept in this facility on site, it's kept 8 floors upstairs across in the hospital offices where they have that lockdown, then our surveyor will not be looking for that information. They will not waste time looking for it. That happens quite often. So that's an excellent question, Leanne. Thank you for bringing that up. So once again, I go back to when you're filling out the application, really focus on putting the exact information down. If you say that the finances are going to be there, financials are going to be there at the practice, then the survey will be looking for those. So make sure you double check those. Excellent question. Thank you.
Okay, we've got another one from Penny. Do you select the patients to call randomly, or do we select them?
The surveyors may work with you on that. It's a little gray area. Good question, Penny. That's a little gray area. I have been there with the survey. I am not a surveyor. I'm not a surveyor. I'm not smart enough to be a surveyor. These women and men are really great at it. I have been with surveyors where they've said, here, let's sit down, let's pull some charts, let's just pull some charts out. And they'll just do it that way. And I've seen also a surveyor say, do me a favor, would you please pull out 5 charts, and they'll let the staff member select it. Either way, the surveyors are pretty much right there, and it's kind of done at random.
Okay.
So if we walk in, a surveyor walks in, and you say, here's your list of 5 people to call, that we probably won't use that list.
Okay, we've got a question from Lorraine. For those of us renewing, is there a list of new standards within the last 3 years since last surveyed?
There is not a specific list of new standards on that. I will find out. I don't have an exact answer on that. There have been updates, like I said, rewrites, but the standard themselves, majority of the standards have not been changed. What I will do is, in the email that Megan sends out, the follow-up email, I will get a definite answer on that, and we will add that into the email. Is that all right, Megan?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. I am not aware of a specific list living right now that says P4601 is changed to this. So let me find out for sure, Elaine.
Okay, we've got another question from Penny. If our practice occasionally closes early, do we need to post a sign with a phone number for people to call?
Very simple. Yes. Yes, just do that. Yeah, it's very simple. If there's an emergency, if you are closing early, generally the surveyor will not show up at the end of the day. If you close a half an hour early, generally a surveyor will be there earlier. But they may come by to see what your hours are for tomorrow. They may be coming by to do the survey tomorrow. But more importantly, is for your patients. And if a patient shows up unexpectedly and you're closed, but your office hours on the door say we're open till 5 o'clock and it's 4:30 and you're closed, yes, we expect to see a sign and the phone number of how we can get in touch with you, how a patient get in touch with you. That is a standard with CMS and ABC. So very good. The answer is yes. Good suggestion. You answered your own question. Excellent.
And I just want to reiterate back to the patient, the patients being called at random. Those are Medicare patients, correct, Jim?
Very good point, Megan. Those are Medicare patients because, as I mentioned, that is a request, and that's something that we have to do for Medicare. So these will be Medicare patients. If you do not have Medicare patients, we will not be calling 5 of your patients, unless you want us to. And I don't think you do, so that's okay.
Okay, great. Next question comes from Terry. Do you need to see 10 files for a privileged fitter?
No, we will we will do the files from the practitioners. We will look at the some of the privileged work that the fitter has done, but it won't be specifically 10 files from the privileged fitter. So we stick to the practitioners for the patient files themselves. Since everything comes under the practitioner, the person who is privileged still, the practitioner who signs off on it, it is still under their authority. So that's where we'll go for that. Good question.
Okay. And going back to the question about the files being kept if you're in a hospital setting off-site,
Yes.
we also had a follow-up to that. They're wondering if they had answered yes on their application to the question, are all files kept on site? But they thought that meant on-site meant
Within
actually within the hospital.
Yeah.
So what should they do in that scenario?
Let us know. If you've already sent in that application, please give us a call. Just give us a call and say, hey, this is the situation. I filled this in. This is what I understood it to be. I was listening to Jim on the webinar, and now I understand it to be this. Just let us know so we can alter that for you.
Okay, great. We have a question.
The earlier you do it, the better. Yes.
And we have a question from Dan. He asks, is there a specific number of non-compliance issues that causes a facility to fail?
Not necessarily. There is not a specific number because some of the standards will probably carry a little more weight. For example, if there is a bulb burned out over in your exit sign, well, that's something that you're non-compliant with. You have the exit sign, but it's not lit, so that's something you're partially compliant with, and that can be fixed within 20 seconds. That can be fixed if you have a bulb there, reach in the drawer, take out a screwdriver, open up the sign, stick it in there, and it's done. If you don't have something far more extensive that is really going to affect your patient care, that's going to carry more weight. I will say that the amount of the facilities that pass their accreditation first time has really risen. The percentage has really gone up. So over this last few years and last 3 or 4 years, and just practices are really doing a much better job of documentation with everything and complying with the standards. So, which is a great trend. We just love seeing that.
Okay, we've got a question from Sherry. She asked.
I think we have probably enough time for one more.
Okay, great. She asks, if if we pull patient files for viewing from the staff members who have privileging or just files from Podorthist. So I'm assuming, do they have to pull patient files for staff members that are privileging or just those from their Podorthists?
Yeah, what the surveyor will do is for the Podorthist, and it's considered a practitioner with us, but the Podorthist will have 10 patient files from them. And then as we go through the personnel files, we will see, because that written objective criteria will be in the personnel file of the staff member who is justified and is able to do privileging. We will look through that, and we'll see, as we go through the patient files, we'll see which patients that this person has done work with. They will not go back and say, I need 10 patient files from this person who's been privileged. They'll do it initially with the practitioner, with the Podorthists, 10 patient files from there, and then with the knowledge that person is privileged, then they may see, I'd like to see a couple of the patient files that this person did privileging. And they may pull a few more of those out to look at those, just to make sure that everything's in order.
Okay.
So it won't be as extensive and it doesn't carry as much weight at this point as it does with the practitioner itself.
Okay, great. We did have a few more coming in, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up since we're at our time.
I just want to be conscious of everyone's time limit. We said 1 hour.
Absolutely. So if there was anything that we didn't get to, we will certainly be sure to reach out to you, or you can contact us directly, and we'll put up some contact information here.
Yeah, Megan, we're going to put my contact information and our accreditation team's contact information. Please do me a favor. If you wrote in a question and it was not answered, or it wasn't answered sufficiently, please just pop us an email, and we will respond to you. We'll get you all set. I'm going to make sure everyone's questions are answered. So this is our website, abcop.org. This is our really attractive staff. No, that's not us. And this is our contact information. Megan.
Yes, thanks, Jim. And thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to leave you with our contact information, like Jim said. It's got both Jim and our accreditation department's information there. So please feel free to contact us at any time. We are here to help. I also wanted to just reiterate and remind everyone, as I mentioned before, you'll be receiving a follow-up email with a link to our survey about today's presentation. Please be sure to take a few minutes to fill that out. We certainly appreciate your feedback, so anything you have to share with us, we greatly appreciate it. The link for the quiz will also be in that follow-up email, so if you want to take the quiz for credits, please be sure to click on that in the email. And the recording for today will also be available. A link for that will be available in the email as well, and you can find that at our webinar library on our website, or you can check us out on our YouTube channel. So just wanted to say thanks again, and be lookout for more webinars from us.
Most definitely. I want to thank everyone. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate that, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.